Good morning, dear Dharma friends. How nice of you to magically appear here. I'm Robert Beatty. For the moment, and I'm coming to you from Portland, Oregon. This is a broadcast of the Portland Insight Meditation Community. For those of you on Zoom and Facebook, I apologize for the bleak background, but I have a pretty background from my living room for those on Zoom, so it's more invitation to come join us on Zoom. You can do that by going to robertbeatty.com and or portlandinsight.org, and you can find the link to the Zoom meeting there. Well, I'm glad to be alive again this morning. Made it through another night. So I have a reading this morning from Emerson. I just spent a little while looking through my collection. This popped out, and I remember when I found this, or someone sent it to me years ago. That really got my attention. It speaks to the codependent in me. It's called Be Yourself. It's done. Good. Don't try to figure out what behavior or opinion will make you popular with others. It is disrespectful to the grandeur of who you really are. It is selling your soul for the low outcome of manipulating the superficial affections of others, as if you needed their approval. Be what you are. Be indifferent to the judgments of others, not with a thoughtless or angry defiance, but with the firm knowledge that you are a vital expression of something unspeakably intelligent and good. Isn't that a beautiful line there? Be what you are. Be indifferent to the judgment of others, not with a thoughtless or angry defiance, but with the firm knowledge that you are a vital expression of something unspeakably intelligent and good. Forget about what you've been before. Forget about what you've said before. Be what you are now, even if it, quote, isn't you. That is, even if it seems to contradict what you or others have pigeonholed you to be. Be free. Be the creative force on the crest of the mighty wave of this very instant. It is a healthy attitude to consider conciliatory behavior beneath you. In other words, don't try to gain goodwill by displaying pleasing behavior. Don't try to beg for people's approval. That is the attitude of someone who doesn't feel they have the right to be what they are, to feel the way they feel, to think what they think. But you do have that right. Be yourself. A stringed instrument is a wonderful way to demonstrate to ourselves the truth of impermanence. The way a sound comes into being and then decays, disappears. And of course, we have our little song, an ancient chant. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. What do we do when mindfulness becomes so natural that you can't get away from it? I guess we're just mindful a lot, huh? Sometimes it even gets to the point where blinking becomes obvious. Strange. So let us do the ancient ritual. People have been doing this for thousands of years. We stop, we sit comfortably upright. We notice the fact that there is consciousness. And there are, therefore, objects of consciousness. Among them is breathing in and breathing out. In this observation, we can notice, what is our intention? We might be taking up mindfulness of in-breathing and out-breathing. There might be thoughts. Coming to being awake to whatever is. Everything that has a beginning has an ending. It's true of the breath. Is it really true of the breath? Perhaps there are sounds. There is this voice, but perhaps there are other sounds. Notice how they too come and go. And there are thoughts. There could be desire, wanting, craving, and that could be very subtle. There could be disliking or aversion. From the grand to the very subtle. There could be restlessness, agitation, worry. There could be sleepy dullness. There could be boredom. There could be doubt. Our task is to open, to be present with exactly what is. And there's a certain kind of effort that's involved, which is an intention. I intend to stay present and awake. I will use in-breathing and out-breathing as a sort of handrail. And we can emphasize concentration, not because that's the goal, but because it's one mental factor that's of great importance. And we do that by becoming more and more intimate with the breath. To embrace mortality, to embrace birth, coming home in the most intimate possible way to this breathing right now. Oftentimes a gap happens between breathing out and breathing in. In that moment of resting, we could be aware of the hands or the whole body, or simply awareness, awakeness, present. And then there is this stirring, this longing in a way. And then breathing in starts. And breathing in isn't a phenomenon in itself. It's countless experiences that lead ultimately to fullness. And then, once again, there's a moment of pause, sort of. And then the descent occurs, decline, breathing out. And by the time one reaches total fullness of breath, the beginning is ancient, gone. By the time when the breath ends, the middle of the breath is ancient. What could sing to us more loudly, more fully, more elegantly than this one breath? Resting back in the present moment. There is nowhere to get to. In our active life, there are goals and objectives, measurements of success. There are timelines, deadlines, competition. When we grant ourselves the opportunity for meditation, we simply let all that go. Not with a thoughtless or angry defiance, but with the firm knowledge that you are a vital expression of something unspeakably intelligent and good. I aspire to love and accept myself exactly as I am in this moment. And to do this journey, to put down the distractions and the compulsions and addictions for a while, to put aside achievement, means any pains I have avoided in the past, any trauma, will start to have a doorway to come through for its healing. And for that reason, I aspire that whenever I'm hurting, no matter how, I intend to hold myself in sweet compassion. And in so doing, we open to holding all of humanity in sweet compassion. In fact, all beings. And all of this is contained in one breath or one inhale. please let us take note of what is the terrain of the inner life right now. What is the mood of the moment? What is the energy state of the moment? This could be a time of very tight contraction, of irritation, of jealousy or fear or anger. It could be a moment of vast expansiveness, of deep faith, of supreme quiet. There could be deep certainty about the Dharma and about one's ability to follow it. Or there could be really raucous doubt. There could be great peace or fear. And noticing how all of this, without exception, exists in awareness. It is known in awareness. And let us add an intention or a thought. On the in-breath, may I be awake. May I be kind with myself. May I be awake. In Thailand, it's very common for teachers to prescribe for their students the saying of a mantra. There's one very simple one that's potent. It's to use the word Buddho. Buddho, which means awake. It's from the same root as Buddha. Buddho, Buddho. So on the in-breath, we might intone quietly, Buddho. And on the out-breath, we might wish the same for each other. We might wish the same for all beings. So there is an in-breath of Buddho and an out-breath of Buddho. And we can get fancy, and some people find this very easy. We could imagine a golden or white light or warmth coming from the heart, from the Buddha, from Kuan Yin, filling yourself, Buddho. Or you could imagine rays of beautiful light, of whatever color you want, traveling through space at the speed of thought, to a loved one, to a friend, to a teacher. Buddho. Buddho, wishing well. And there's one way to think of this kind of practice, is that it's about sending, quote, sending love to another person. There's yet another way, that it's all about one's own consciousness. That the other person is actually a piece of one's own consciousness. So we are cultivating Buddho, awakeness, lovingness in this moment. And please now become aware of your body, where it touches the chair, the cushion. Receive with gratitude and Buddho the life which is the hands. The life which is breathing in and breathing out. The life which is the face. The cheeks. And see if there is any tension in this face that could be intentionally released between the eyes, the forehead, the cheeks, maybe in the throat. There is nowhere to get to other than here. Our lives are already completely successful. This is it. And bringing awareness into the eyes. It's not so much bringing, is it? It's allowing or inspiring. And then notice how a thought of intention arises, and then there is operationalizing that in the eyes. The eyes can open. And then perhaps there's clarity of vision. Colors, shapes, perhaps they become people, pictures of people. Or maybe there's just more light or more shapes. In either case, there's seeing. And of course, we have inner seeing. If you were to imagine something silly like your kitchen sink, there's vision. That's the internal eye. There's some humor in this mind this morning. It said, well, how about this? And presented Jimi Hendrix playing the Star-Spangled Banner. Who knows what will pop up? It actually started with those first notes of which what is it? It's da-da-da-da. It's all in there, isn't it? It's remarkable. And so now we have the opportunity, those of us on Zoom, and those who can see, to let our eyes go from one person to another, seeing. Seeing. And notice, I love doing this, that notice your eyes will fall on someone, and perhaps it's someone you've never noticed before. Or there's someone with whom maybe you have a long history. I see Had Walmer drinking coffee in his red room. Seeing. I had a very interesting meditative experience a couple of days ago. I was walking with a friend in a park, Gabriel Park. It's a walk I've done many, many times. And mindfulness was very present. And there was this noticing of, someone would run by and there would be liking, disliking, judging, not judging, concern about whether I was at enough distance from them, and all this stuff happening in a trice all the time. But the part that I found particularly interesting was I have been there with my son and grandsons a few times. And as I would pass a spot where something had happened with my grandsons, pleasant or unpleasant, the memory of that inhabited the present moment very fully. And then it was gone. And so traveling through terrain in which there has been prior experience is profoundly influenced by the prior experiences all the time. But it was so interesting watching how they would come into being and then disappear. Buddho. Buddho happens to be the name of my dog. So I love that mantra. Buddho, Buddho, Buddho. And not by accident is that his name, of course. So, Jim, you're teaching this Saturday, I believe. You're doing a one-day or half-day Qigong?
Yes, sir. I will be online at 9 o'clock on Saturday and moving with mindfulness, moving to sitting at some point and listening to poetry. So that's the format for my Saturday workshops.
Thank you, Jim. And Dave Mayer, back by popular demand, is the Tuesday morning movement and music. I was dancing in here. I was so stuck yesterday, and I danced for 20 minutes or so, and I realized, no, this is important. So reinstating Tuesday morning, it's mindful movement. When you do get a chance to come on retreat with me, we get up fairly early, not really early, but and then we have 45 minutes of sitting, and then 45 minutes of movement to music, and it's quite an interesting way that it teaches how to be mindful in all activities. And I should fulfill my PIMC responsibility of reminding us. If these broadcasts are helpful to you, if simply knowing they're there is useful to you, I encourage you to become a participant in the financial security, the financial longevity of PIMC. You can do that by going to the website. You can find this class if you want. The bookkeeping people would like that. And perhaps be encouraged to do a monthly contribution, because then it's there even when you forget. It also makes budgeting much more functional. So that's all I want to say about that. What about you? How is it out there? Oh, hang on. What's it called? This is a totally schizoid, weird question, but how many of you watched Fraggle Rock? Would you raise your hand? Was that not the best television ever? The best use of television. I encourage you, find it on YouTube and watch a Fraggle Rock episode or two. It's this whole drone. It's with Muppet creatures, but there was a guy called Traveling Matt, and he went out and traveled among the humans, and it showed us humans in our absolute absurdity the stuff we do. So anyway, that's my schizoid research question. How about you? Anything happening?
Morning, Robert. It's Michael.
Michael, hello.
You had a phrase towards the end of today's sit that really caught me. And you said something about our lives are perfectly successful already.
Yeah.
And it just kind of caught me because I feel like there's places in most of our lives where there's a little room for improvement in generosity or in family relationships or interpersonal relationships. And I'm just curious if you could expand on perfectly successful right now.
Can I? There's one tuning. I'm tuning my dial. There's a tuning in which there's a separate self, in which one has aspirations to improve and to become a, quote, better person. there's another tuning in which there's nobody here at all. And it's, we talk about that, and is it really real? And I'm pretty convinced that's really the deep truth. And that part of what causes us so much pain is that we're always trying to fix this self. I'm gonna do this and do that to make it better, and maybe get some more of this to make it feel more secure, and we never arrive at anywhere that's secure. We never arrive at anywhere that's enough. Or so to at least sometimes contemplate the notion that right now, I don't have to do anything to improve myself. Right now, I'm really enough. And there's such a profound relaxation in that, which then, interestingly, paradoxically, can result in us being much more generous and kind and all those good things. But it comes through non-striving rather than, I have a little reading. You may have heard this before. It's one of those that pops up with some frequency. It's by Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti. Krishnamurti was an Indian man who, as a boy, was discovered by Madame Blavatsky and others of the Theosophical Society in India, and they groomed him to be the next Messiah. And he was an amazing young man, a boy actually. And then on his 27th birthday, I think it was, he was near his late 20s, they were having his coming out party. Here he is. And he said, I'm not doing it. I quit. This isn't real. And then he went on to become a remarkable teacher. I saw him live once. I saw him in Ojai in California. And he was old, maybe my age. And he walked on stage very stiffly. And there was a straight back chair, and there were maybe 200 people, and we were down, he was about this high, up on a platform, just a straight back chair. He sat down, and then he said, and what are your questions? And he said, I will take 10. And 10 people said questions, and he'd ask a little clarifying some with one of them, and then he repeated all of the 10 questions very clearly, and he said, we'll take this one. And then he zeroed in on it. It was amazing. So anyway, this is a short quote from him. It says, the seeing is the doing. Transformation occurs only when none of the following are present. Desire to change the experience. Judgment. Analysis. Justification, grasping, selfing, resisting, or believing I am witnessing. Now that's quite a list. There's no, transformation occurs only when none of the following are present. Desire to change the experience. I really should be a better person. I should be more concentrated, or I should be something. Judgment. I'm doing a good job. I'm not. Analysis. Justification. I'm this way because. Grasping. Selfing. Resisting. And this is the real clincher. Believing I am witnessing. So it's an interesting notion, I think. And it exists across traditions, that we've already arrived. We have always been arrived. And it doesn't mean we still don't have to clean up our act and behave morally and ethically. But there's this other way in which we can settle back into the present moment and realize, I don't have to be doing anything. I'm already free. And the thinking, my thinking mind, the thinking mind never really, I don't find it gets happy with that. It's more of an intuitive knowing. Is that any help?
Yeah, it is. I think, like so often, I get a little stuck with some semantics and definitions, and I suppose I have a hang up on the word perfect anyway. So we have a saying in our family, not letting the perfect get in the way of the good. And that, so to hear that you're perfectly successful triggers a little bit, but I understand the acceptance part. I really do. And I agree with that. So I think I just need to, choose my definitions.
And isn't it interesting how a meaning to a word that comes from your family experience completely complicates something? I mean, and it's like my thing in the park. We're always being affected by these prior experiences.
Thank you.
Thanks for hanging in there with all this. Incidentally, knowing that you're such a marvelous photographer, that on my screen, there's Jessica, right in the middle of what I was going to point out. Now it's even more beautiful. The trees in that window, which are overexposed, are stunning. It's like an impressionist picture of trees. It's gorgeous. And improved now with Jessica's face in the middle of it. No, come back. It's nice. But isn't that, that's very fascinating to me.
Jessica was standing off camera while you were answering, and I found myself kind of moving like this to see when the light changed. And thinking, why am I doing that? So
the light was changing on your face too. It's
right.
So much.
Kind of what I was noticing was like, am I visible? Am I invisible? Am I visible? So,
I mean, so much goes on all the time, isn't it? Something fascinating. So thank you. Well, I've got you spotlighted, I think. Can I get you unspotlighted? Can you unspotlight yourself?
Yeah, a few seconds after you spotlighted me. Sorry.
Oh, I see. Okay. I'm back to gallery. Here we are. Oh, there you all are. Hi.
Good morning, Robert.
Yeah.
Good morning, Sandra.
Who is
It's Joe.
Oh, Joe. Hello, Joe.
It's Joe. Good morning. I caught myself in this wonderful meditation this morning, and I live out in the country, so I could hear all the birds around me. And because I have this kind of humorous mentality, I was feeling joyful about hearing the birds, and then looked at myself with the mirror and proceeded to pronounce in the royal we that we are pleased with this sound, and caught that subtle judgment of what was. And it was a very interesting moment to see that how subtly we can pass judgment on any and everything as we go about our simple lives.
Liking and disliking. It's one of the four
Exactly.
foundations of mindfulness.
Yeah. So it was remarkable to me that it was very subtle. That thing that I took pleasure from was also a subtle judgment on what was.
Yes. Any movement to, oh, isn't it beautiful? We're already lost in the mind. It's just sounds. With liking attached, maybe. Oh, there goes Joe. Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Hi, Robert. Dave Mayer.
Hello, Dave.
You just wanted, you didn't see it, someone posted in the chat a request that you post on your blog the poem that you read this morning.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah. And there's actually, I have a similar request. A couple of weeks ago, you read I'd never heard you speak this, it wasn't exactly a poem, a story, of a in utero fetus discussing the fear of birthing as a fear of death.
Oh, yeah.
I was hoping you could post that as well. That has stuck with me, and if you can, there's a way you can find it.
I will see if I can find that. I don't. Yes, I'll try.
Okay, thank you.
It's not the Rumi one, is it? Well, maybe I'll put them both.
Robert,
Can
you hear me?
Yes,
I
Tamara.
think, wasn't it that story you read about, I think it was a little story by Dr. Phil, maybe?
Wayne Dyer.
It was.
Oh, Wayne Dyer. Was it Wayne Dyer?
I think it was. I think you're right.
Wayne
Okay,
Dyer?
that helps.
Yeah. Yeah. About life after the womb.
Yeah.
Right.
Life after birth or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Thanks.
I'll try to find it.
Oh, hi, Kitty. Piff, piff.
Is there life after birth?
The thing that struck me about that is that putting myself in the position of a fetus, I could see there being a real fear of birth, and it's just been it's stuck with me.
Well, in fact, given how existentially dangerous birth is, it's no wonder the Buddha had birth, sickness, old age, decay, and death as points of potentially profound dukkha.
Mm.
Yeah.
There's certainly not any point of the process that's pleasant for anyone, I would imagine.
Oh, it's easy for the moms, of course. You know, they have all those hormones, and I must say, I feel teary with it. My mother gave birth to me, and then my mother, who had lots of problems. She was agoraphobic, and our relationship was really quite problematically fused and so on. So there's lots of things I could complain about. But she loved me, and she took care of me. She cooked, she planned, shopped, and cooked more than 15,000 meals for me. I mean, that's maybe one of the smaller things she did, but what a devotion. Amazing. Plus giving birth to me. And I hope you got my facetious, that I was being sarcastic about that. To have watched my two children be born, one a vaginal birth, oh my God, over 26 hours. And the other was a C-section and then recovery from C-section. What an incredible sacrifice that women make to bring us into the world. It's huge. And then losing teeth and all the things that happened. Anyway, I could rant on about that for a while, but I honor I honor my mother particularly. Who's long gone, 20-some years. Sure would like to have a conversation with her now. I would have liked to have a conversation with her actually the last 6 years she was alive, just as I was getting to a place in my own individuation that there were some things I needed to say, and I had some anger I wanted to finally share with her. And then she had a bad stroke, and she was paralyzed. Her left hand was here's one of the human unpleasantnesses. She had a stroke, and her left shoulder was dislocated within a day or so of the stroke, maybe anyway, and then it fused there. So for the rest of her life, her shoulder was dislocated, and she had no capacity to release the tension in it, but she had complete sensory experience of it for years.
Goodness.
Yeah. But anyway, she was cognitively quite damaged in the stroke, and so how do you go into the room of this person who played the role of your mother, and you're angry at her, and you want to express anger? It would have been like hitting a child. So I had to take care of that myself. There were some remarkable times, though. I think I can say this. I'm kind of skittish these days. What'll I say that'll get me in hot water? But my mother was in a nursing home in British Columbia, quite a nice place, as such things go, and she had a private room. It was, you ready for this? Canadian healthcare. We paid 600 Canadian dollars, like $400 a month, for her to have a private room. That was the total cost of her nursing home. Anyway, it wasn't $8,000 a month. So I must not be too long-winded about this. It was during the time when the First Nations people were getting their land back in Canada. They never signed treaties, many of them in Canada. And so they've gotten back huge swaths of land. And parts of Vancouver, downtown Vancouver, are likely going to go back to the native people. Quite something. Anyway, they were having all these meetings on TV. And my mother had a TV. And I got there one time, and she was incensed. She said, "I'm paying for a private room, and they're holding all those meetings here in my room." And there's all these First Nations people. Why are they in my room? So it was an interesting perspective on dementia and strokes and perception and I grew to love her more and more. So I'm going to be quiet and ask if you have anything else you'd like to share. My mother's name was Eleonore Beatrice Morin. Is that not a beautiful mouthful? Eleonore Beatrice Morin.
Hey, Robert, can you hear me?
I can. Hello, Tamara.
Hi. I just wanted to share one kind of random but topical thing when you were speaking of Buddha. And your little Buddha, who I hope he's doing well. After his
I just
eating.
saw him outside the door. He got fed a minute ago.
Yeah, no more chocolate, huh?
No more chocolate.
But just a little random thing. I remember when I was at the Dharma Hall, and we had our eyes closed meditating, and when you talk the sounds that come through, my favorite sound has always been Buddha's collar jingling. So I just thought you might want to know that. So little Buddha, wish him well for me.
I will.
Okay.
Well, how are we doing? Oh, quarter after 8. I have to be rather timely this morning. There's a document in my mailbox at the office, which I need to take to the county to be, what's the word, not registered, but entered into the formal record. I've signed a contract with the city that we will, within the next 7 years, complete the project, which includes building walls inside the existing Dharma Hall walls to hold up the roof in case of earthquake. And so we have 7 years, and it's going to be a major project because we need to raise, at this point, it would be $700,000. It'll probably be more than the cost of plywood has gone up from $45 a sheet to $80 a sheet in the last month. So things are, but we're already seeking foundations and things like that. We'll pull it off. We did this one right now, if we ever get to build it. And that was over $500,000. But there are people who really believe in this mission, and it's important. So, anybody sitting with something you would like to share before we head out of here? Shall we be bold and do may all beings be happy just for fun, knowing what we really mean? May all beings receive all blessings. So please unmute. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Happy trails, dear friends. May mindfulness abound.
Thank you.